We are walking right into the trial of the century, and the stakes have never been higher for Curtis. If you ask me, this trial was never just going to be about a simple fistfight or a momentary lapse in judgment. We are talking about aggravated assault. We are talking about a brutal physical altercation that left Isaiah with severe, potentially permanent damage to his hands. And as we all know, Isaiah is a brilliant surgeon. His hands are his entire livelihood, his identity, and his purpose. Curtis did not just bruise a man's ego, he jeopardized a doctor's entire career and future in medicine. The atmosphere inside that courtroom is going to be incredibly suffocating. You can just picture the heavy mahogany doors, the stifling air, and the gallery packed with every single person who has a stake in this nightmare. Jordan will be sitting there, her face a mask of unresolved trauma, still carrying the physical and emotional scars from the hit-and-run accident that started this entire domino effect. Portia will be sitting right behind the defense table, her heart completely torn in two. On one side, she is watching the man she loves face the very real possibility of a long, dark stint in Pentonville prison. On the other side, she is looking at Isaiah, her respected medical colleague, whose life has been derailed by her husband's uncontrollable rage. The emotional toll on Portia is visible in every line on her face. She has spent her entire life trying to be the moral compass of her family, the voice of reason, the healer. But today, she is sitting in a room where healing is impossible and only punishment awaits. The whispers in the gallery are deafening. Everyone is waiting to see if the justice system will finally hold a powerful man accountable for his violent action. Curtis is sitting at that defense table looking like a man who knows the walls are closing in on him. He knows that the prosecution has a rock-solid case regarding the physical assault itself. There is no denying that he threw the punches. There is no denying the medical reports detailing the severe trauma to Isaiah's hands. The physical evidence is undeniable, and the witnesses to the aftermath paint a grim picture of Curtis's explosive temper. If this were a straightforward trial, the jury would deliberate for 20 minutes before locking him away. But this is our beloved soap opera, guys, and nothing is ever straightforward. The defense team has a massive trick up their sleeves, and they are about to turn this entire trial completely upside down. The defense attorney stands up, buttons his suit jacket, and completely pivots the narrative away from the assault. He is not going to argue that Curtis is innocent of the violence. Instead, he is going to weaponize the tragic hit-and-run accident that nearly cost Jordan her life all those months ago. The lawyer will paint a vivid, heartbreaking picture of Curtis as a desperate, traumatized man who was pushed to the absolute edge of his sanity. He will argue that Curtis did not attack Isaiah out of malicious, unprovoked rage, but rather because he genuinely, deep down in his soul, believed that Isaiah was the monster behind the wheel of that car. They are going to argue that Curtis was acting out of a primal need to protect his family and seek justice against a phantom driver who left Jordan bleeding on the asphalt. It is a brilliant, manipulative, legal maneuver designed to make the jury sympathize with Curtis's trauma rather than focus on Isaiah's broken hands. But that's not even the craziest part. Just when the defense thinks they have the jury completely mesmerized by this emotional tale of trauma and mistaken identity, the prosecution calls a surprise rebuttal witness. The heavy courtroom doors swing open, and the entire gallery goes dead silent as Lulu walks down the aisle. Yes, ladies, Lulu is taking the stand, and she is carrying a bombshell that is going to wreak devastation on the entire defense strategy. You see, Lulu holds the golden key to proving Isaiah's absolute innocence regarding the hit and run. While Curtis was out there letting his paranoia convince him that Isaiah was fleeing the scene of the accident, Isaiah was actually miles away, completely unaware of the tragedy unfolding on the highway. And Lulu is the only person in the world who can place him exactly where he was that night. But that's not even the craziest part. When Lulu takes the oath and sits in that witness box, she is going to reveal a long-buried secret that she has been fiercely protecting for months. She testifies under penalty of perjury that on the exact night and time of the hit and run, Isaiah was secretly inside her house. Why was a surgeon making a secret house call? As he was treating a severe, highly infected wound on Rocco. Rocco had been hiding this dangerous injury, absolutely terrified of the consequences and the family drama it would cause. Isaiah, acting out of the goodness of his heart and his oath as a doctor, stepped up to help the young boy off the books. Lulu is sitting up there, risking her own family's privacy and exposing her son's reckless behavior, all to save an innocent man from being railroaded by a false narrative The moment she speaks those words, Isaiah's alibi becomes undeniably rock solid, and Curtis's entire defense crumbles into dust right before his very eyes. But that's not even the craziest part. With the hit-and-run defense completely obliterated, Curtis is staring down the barrel of a maximum prison sentence. The prosecution looks smug, the jury looks convinced, and everyone in the gallery thinks the trial is effectively over. But then the defense calls Portia to the stand. We all expected Portia to take the high road. We expected her to tell the absolute truth, to uphold her integrity as a medical professional, and perhaps even condemn the brutal violence inflicted upon her colleague. But in a jaw-dropping twist that will leave us all screaming at our screens, Portia completely flips the script. Instead of throwing her husband under the bus, she looks the jury dead in the eye and testifies that Isaiah was the true aggressor. She claims, with tears in her eyes, that Isaiah relentlessly provoked Curtis using cruel, taunting, and threatening words right before the physical altercation broke out. She is deliberately trashing Isaiah's character, painting him as a hostile instigator, all to give the defense a new angle of temporary, provoked insanity. Think about the psychological weight of what Portia is doing here. She is a doctor who took an oath to do no harm, yet she is verbally and legally assassinating a fellow surgeon's character on public record. She knows Isaiah is innocent. She knows Isaiah was the victim of a brutal, unprovoked attack. Yet, the desperate fear of losing her husband to the prison system has completely corrupted her morals. She is looking at the jury, crying real tears, but spinning a web of absolute lies. But that's not even the craziest part. The courtroom is in absolute uproar. The judge is banging the gavel demanding order as the gallery erupts into furious whispers. Isaiah is staring at Portia with a look of pure, unadulterated betrayal. He cannot believe that a fellow doctor, a woman he respected, would lie under oath and destroy his reputation just to save a man who nearly ended his surgical career. The jury is visibly confused, their heads spinning from the whiplash of these conflicting testimonies. Curtis is sitting at the defense table, his head in his hands, realizing the massive, destructive ripple effect his anger has caused. His wife is now committing perjury for him. But guys, if you thought the drama was peaking there, you need to hold on to your seats, because the writers are about to drop the ultimate atomic bomb on this storyline. Just as the prosecutor stands up to fiercely cross-examine Portia and tear her fabricated story to shreds, a massive commotion breaks out at the back of the courtroom. The heavy oak doors fly open with a loud bang echoing through the high ceilings of the courthouse. Every single head in the room snaps toward the entrance, and standing there, looking like a man who has carried the weight of the world on his shoulders, is Harrison. But Harrison is not alone. He is tightly gripping the arm of his own wife, Brook Lynn. If you have been watching the show for years, you know that Harrison is a man of the law. He is a man of unshakable morals, a detective who took an oath to seek the truth no matter how much it hurts. And the agonizing guilt of what Brook Lynn has done has finally pushed their marriage to the absolute breaking point. You have to imagine the agonizing car ride to the courthouse for Harrison. He had to look at the woman he loves, the woman he promised to protect, and tell her that her web of lies ends today. Harrison is choosing his badge, his integrity, and his soul over his own wife's freedom. He knows that by walking her through those doors, he is essentially handing her a prison sentence. But he also knows that he cannot let an innocent man like Isaiah take the fall, and he cannot let Curtis's trial proceed under a cloud of false assumption. The sheer bravery and heartbreak radiating from Harrison in this moment will go down in soap opera history. He marches his sobbing wife straight down the center aisle, past the stunned gallery, past a bewildered Curtis, and right up to the front of the judge's bench. Brook Lynn is shaking like a leaf. The tears are streaming down her face, ruining her makeup as she looks around the room at the lives she has single-handedly destroyed. Harrison looks at the judge and declares that they have new, critical evidence regarding the hit and run that has been the focal point of this entire trial. Brook Lynn is sworn in. She takes the stand, her voice trembling so hard she can barely speak. She looks directly at Jordan, then at Curtis, and finally drops the bombshell to end all bombshells. She confesses, sobbing uncontrollably, that she was the one driving the car. She was the one who struck Jordan and Curtis. She was the one who panicked, slammed her foot on the gas, and fled into the dark night, leaving them bleeding and broken on the asphalt. The sheer unadulterated devastation in that room is going to be unlike anything we have witnessed in decades of watching this soap opera. Curtis is going to realize in real time the horrific magnitude of his mistake. He destroyed Isaiah's hand and potentially his entire surgical career over an absolute fabricated lie. He violently assaulted a completely innocent man while the real culprit, Brook Lynn, was living a life of luxury and comfort at the mansion, hiding behind her family's wealth and influence. The guilt is going to hit Curtis like a freight train, crushing whatever is left of his pride. Jordan will be staring at Brook Lynn in pure, paralyzed horror, finally looking into the eyes of the woman who nearly ended her life. The judge will have absolutely no choice but to slam the gavel repeatedly, shouting over the screaming gallery, and halt the trial immediately. The entire legal proceeding will be thrown into absolute chaos. Brook Lynn is going to be read her Miranda rights and handcuffed right there in the middle of the courtroom, paraded out in front of the judge, the jury, and her completely devastated family. But where does this leave our characters? The trial might be halted, but the nightmare is only just beginning. Will the judge show Curtis any mercy now that the absolute truth is out, or will Isaiah rightfully demand the maximum punishment for the permanent, career-ending damage to his hands? How will Portia ever look herself in the mirror after lying on the stand to destroy an innocent colleague? And most importantly, how will Harrison ever look at Brook Lynn the same way again after she forced him to choose between his badge and his wedding vows? We are officially entering a brand new era of drama, and if you ask me, nobody in this town is making it out of this courtroom unscathed.